Hey, I recently watched The Woman King, which can currently be viewed in theaters as of this date. Now, by the way, it may be spoilers in this story analysis, so if you haven't watched the film yet and don't want to spoil, go check it out. But come back and let me know your thoughts and see if you picked up on some of the same things I did. So anyway, this movie has sparked huge online chatter about the subject matter. People are debating and boycotting the film because of its historical inaccuracy about the Dahomey Tribe. Or is it? Because you know many people are making judgment based on a trailer alone, okay? So I did my own research. Oh, and if I butcher any of the African names or just any name throughout this video, please forgive me in advance. Now, the Dahomey Tribe's warriors are known as the Agoji. They raided villages under cover of darkness. They took captives and slashed off resistors' heads to return to their king as trophies of war. Now, before we jump into that, let me give you a little backstory of the film. The Woman King is a feature-length movie that is inspired by true events. Key term: inspired. The creators took extensive dramatic license to develop the storyline. Obviously, because I'm sure the Agoji warriors did not have MMA fighting skills. Okay, I'm just saying. But it was glorious to see on screen. So if you're looking for some ass-kicking blockbuster film with all of the fantastic visuals, go check out this movie. It's definitely worth your time. Now, with that being said, the film's creators stayed historically accurate to the broad strokes of the Dahomey reign, which I will get into a little bit more later. However, many of its characters are fictional, including Viola Davis starring as Naniska and Thuso Memdu starring as Nawi. Naniska and Nawi share names with documented members of the Agoji army, but are not exact mirrors of these women. Now, before we get bent out of shape at these fictional characters, remember that Jack and Rose were fictional characters on the Titanic, okay? And we all love them. At least most of us do. Okay, so the film is based on a story by Maria Bello and Dana Stevens. It was later turned into a screenplay by Stevens, who recently wrote Kevin Hart's Fatherhood. Now, the film was directed by one of my favorite directors, Gina Prince-Bythewood. She is known for directing The Old Guard, Beyond the Lights, The Secret Life of Bees, and the all-time classic, which is one of my favorite movies, Love and Basketball. Now, y'all been tripping because in recent years, Love and Basketball has been trashed by some because Quincy was a jerk and a huge F-boy. He was. But y'all, it's called character development, people. That was a coming of age story. He was lost and had to find himself. But anyways, that's what got me to thinking that The Woman King would be an excellent way to explain character development and how internal and external motivations deepens the storytelling. The story of The Woman King follows General Naniska, the leader of the all-female group of warriors, the Agoji, who liberates Bohemian women who were abducted by the slavers from the Oyo Empire. This provokes King Gaizo of the Dahomey, played by John Boyega, to prepare for an all-out war with Oyo. Now, okay, let's stop for a moment. Okay, let's take a moment to notice how Boyega is slowly morphing into Denzel Washington. When did this start happening, y'all? Okay, the way he moves his lips and does that rapid eye blink that Denzel is astonishingly shocking. So he's either been studying Denzel's acting techniques or he's his doppelganger. What do you think? Let me know below. Anyway, back to the story. Naniska begins to train a new generation of warriors to join the Agoji to protect the kingdom. Among these warriors is Nawi, a strong-willed girl who her father offered to the king after refusing to marry men who would beat her. Okay, so now you know what the film is about. So in today's video, I will briefly summarize the following screenwriting techniques, which are theme, internal and external motivation, and metaphors. These writing techniques significantly deepen the story. So I will highlight the practices I noticed in The Woman King to illustrate how you can use them in your writing. So let's get into it. What's up, my Diversity in Cinema Academy fam? I'm Theta Catalan, and this is the place to be if you're an aspiring filmmaker, video creator, and screenwriter, or you just wanted my thoughts on The Woman King. As you may well know, art is subjective and can be left up to interpretation. So the breakdown I'm about to give is my interpretation of the movie. I would love to hear your thoughts as well, so leave a comment below. Now, before we jump into the writing techniques, let's get some of that almighty controversy out of the way, alright? One of the film's biggest complaints is that it glorifies Ogoji warriors as saviors of the enslaved, when they were indeed capturing rival tribe members and selling them to the Portuguese slave traders, as well as enslaving the captors for themselves. Now, this critique was addressed in the film. They didn't leave it out, y'all, okay? However, it was done through a parallel plot line where Nanisca disapproves of the slave trade after experiencing its horrors personally, urging Gaizo to end Dahomey's close relationship with Portuguese slave traders and shift to the production of palm oil as the kingdom's main export. Now, we know Nanisca's storyline is fictional, so how did the creators of this movie try to remain historically accurate? Well, the real Gaizo did in fact successfully free Dahomey from its tributary status in 1823, but the kingdom's involvement in the slave trade doesn't align as neatly as this movie shows. Gaizo did consider palm oil production as an alternative source of revenue. However, it proved far less lucrative, and the king soon resumed Dahomey's participation in the slave trade until it finally ended in 1852. So that's y'all a history lesson, okay? Now y'all know this is a 2-hour and 15-minute movie, so they can't take us through all of the trafficking of the West Africans that happened between the 1680s and mid-1800s. If y'all want to know that history, go look it up just like I did. It's a lot more, y'all, okay? So plus, that's not what this movie is about. As Prince-Bythewood told the Hollywood Reporter, we're going to tell the truth. We're not going to shy away from anything, but also we're telling a part of the story which is about overcoming and fighting for what's right, okay? So now that we have discussed the controversy, let's get into these screenwriting techniques. But before we do that, here's my friendly reminder. Please hit the subscribe button and turn on your notifications if you want to continue receiving content that helps you turn your productions into profitable business models. Okay, so let's get back to it. Before you start writing your story, you must develop your characters. So the first thing you should do is define your character's motivation. The two levels of motivation are outer motivation and inner motivation. The external motivation is what the character visibly hopes to accomplish by the end of the movie. For example, Nanisca wanted to see the end of the slave trade. Now, the inner motivation is the reason for the external motivation. The character thinks this will lead to self-worth. So the key term here is think. And this is how we get to dig deeper into the characters. Now, Nanisca thinks that freeing the enslaved people will make her happy, but as we go along on her journey, we find that she needs to make peace with something deep within her. So we're going to explore her emotional journey with the first writing technique I'm going to share, which is the story's theme. A theme is the message of the story. If you want to learn more about themes, check out my review from Hung for Jesus Save Your Soul. I did a breakdown on several literary writing devices and elements. Now, here are some of the themes I picked up in The Woman King. The first is coming of age, which refers to Nawi's storyline. Nawi grows beyond depending on her family, who cast her away to the Ogoji. She steps into adulthood when she becomes a warrior after a long, brutal training camp. She also experiences a loss of innocence when witnessing the death of one of her mentors, and perhaps most importantly, gains a more complex understanding of the world when she learns about her mother. Now, I'm not gonna give complete spoilers over here, okay? If you know, you know. Now, the next theme I picked up on is perseverance. This is a classic theme for movies that involve training for battle. Typically, the main character is an underdog who triumphs over long odds through determination and hard work. The Ogoji was not deemed as the strongest. I mean, they had women warriors, okay? But more on that later. And they wasn't the largest army. So this theme of perseverance is reinforced by creating scenes where we see the Ogoji training for war. Ultimately, the film declares that perseverance is a victory. The will to fight for what is right is what is most important. Now the next theme is man versus self, where the protagonist must overcome their own internal conflicts. The Oyo tribe once captured Nanisca. She was beaten, raped, and impregnated. Now Agoji warriors were not allowed to bear children, so Nanisca hid the pregnancy until she delivered, then asked Amenza, which was another Agoji, to discard it. After that moment in life, Nanisca hardened herself, and that's how she trained all of the other women to be. For the Agoji women, love was a source of weakness, and it just wasn't an option. However, when Nanisca runs into Oba Aid, her captor and rapist, a floodgate of emotions comes over her. And this is when we learn that this is Nanisca's true battle. And I'm not just talking about her external fight to try to kill him. Nanisca had a pain that ran so deep that it prevented her from love. This leads me to the next theme, which is love. Now we question the Agoji practices of the women warriors not being able to find love. Plus, she showed compassion for a friend at risk of failing the training by helping her out, even if it meant she would lose. This was a demonstration of love for a friend. So what we learn from watching this movie is that love is not a source of weakness. On the contrary, love will make you fight harder than ever. Love can conquer incredible obstacles like war and disaster. The experience of love sparks transformation in your film's characters. Through this transformation, Nanisca awakens in her understanding of love and evolves from a heartless person who would leave a comrade behind to someone with a profound purpose, risking everything to bring back the people she loves, even if it meant the king banishing her from the tribe. So those were a few examples of themes, which is an essential part of writing. So take time to determine what message you're trying to convey in your story. Okay, so if you're finding any value in anything I have shared with you so far in this video, go ahead and hit that like button and let me know, and let that YouTube algorithm know, okay? It really does give me a boost in the algorithm. Now let's dive into these literary devices I noticed in the film. These devices can also help deepen your story. A really great way to subtly convey themes within your film is through the use of literary devices. One particular prop in The Woman King was used as 3 types of literary devices, which is symbolism, motif, and metaphor. If you want to dig deeper into the meanings of these literary devices, be sure to check out my Honk for Jesus review, where I give a complete breakdown. So the prop that stood out to me the most in The Woman King is a rope. It was seen a minimum of 3 times in the movie. This repetition of seeing that prop makes it a motif, which signaled that the creators were making a statement. The first time we see the rope in the movie, Nawi is dismissive of it as a weapon. It's not considered brute, strong, or powerful in her eyes. Instead, the rope is smaller and weaker, in contrast to facing a much bigger, stronger sword. How can you harness the power of something that appears to be weak? Now we later see Nawi in the climatic battle wielding that rope like a lasso, but she intuitively attached a blade on the end. And lastly, we see her use the rope one last time in her final fight scene. So my interpretation is that the film metaphorically depicts how many people, especially men, look at women. Many people think of feminism as a weakness, underestimating the power a woman wields. The rope symbolizes overconfidence and brute power. The consequences of failing to appreciate alternatives to physical superiority and the misinterpretation of the true nature of the powerful. Power comes from intelligence, not just brute force. Now we also taught Nanisca that gunpowder can be used outside of guns and can be used as an explosive device. A smart decision that helped them win the battle, not the war, y'all, okay? Because I know some of y'all who watching this is probably ready to say from your little research, but those women wars got beat all the time. So remember, this movie focused on one particular battle, okay? You know, it's a shame that we still need to create these type of symbolic storylines because this story was told centuries ago. I mean, have y'all ever heard of David and Goliath? I'm sure y'all have. Now, all in in all, this was a great film. The Dahomey may have a brutal history, but the depiction of that brutality was also seamlessly woven into the showing of other aspects of the culture. The choreography, the war cries, the camaraderie, just everything was beautifully done. Now, I give it a 4.9 out of 5 stars because they weaved in a love story that I feel just wasn't needed. I mean, you know, the how Dahomey and Malik could have been an ally without now we having to bust it wide open, okay? And look, I'm a little sucker for a good love story or romantic comedy, and I don't judge one night stands. I told y'all one of my favorite movies is Love and Basketball. However, this particular movie did not need it. I'm just saying, it's just my 2 cents on that. Okay, so those were my thoughts. What are your interpretations of the film? Please let me know in the comment section. What was your favorite part of this video? If you made it this far and haven't hit the subscribe button, then what are you waiting for? Like, seriously. And don't forget to turn on your notifications. Also, if you want to learn more about becoming a screenwriter, this video, what does a screenwriter do for a movie production, would be an excellent resource. So check it out now.